Hello and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining in today. We have a big class today and we have our guest of honor, Dr. Michael Mueller with us. I would like to first introduce a little bit and things about our program and our agenda today. Okay, can you guys all see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so this is why we are here basically. Our training and IBT training, which is spring 2023. Basically, we are approved content provider for the IBT credential from the IBAO. And today we will talk a little bit more about in detail what IBT is, what IBAO is, and a little bit of about you guys, what you are planning to do, and do you have any questions in your mind? And after that, we will be distributing your certificates for the IBT 40-hour training. So this is our agenda today. A little bit introduction of our program, which everyone know very well, but just a brief recap. And then introduction of our guest, Dr. Michael Mueller, and then he will address with you briefly. And then we will have a question answer session, certificate distribution, and ending remarks. Our program is basically 40-hour training program covering course content requirements for the IBT credential offered by the IBAO. What is different about program is that it has option of both live and recorded lectures. So those professionals who could not attend live lectures, they avail the recordings. And after watching those recordings, if they had some questions in their mind, they were, had a open communication with the instructor, which is me, and, for clarification of a lot of concepts. So it was very successful. Mashallah, we had a big class, around 30. And what else is that quizzes, exam preparation, and fun interaction. This was unique about our program. Our guest of honor today, Dr. Michael Mueller. Dr. Michael Mueller is the director and founder of the IBAO. He is also the co-owner and director of behavioral services for Southern Behavioral Group in Atlanta, Georgia, and Stimulus Prep Publications. Dr. Michael Mueller has authored 11 books, including the Assessment of Functional Living Skills, AFLS, a 7-book assessment and teaching series to guide in the assessment and teaching of everyday practical life skills for learners of all ages. Dr. Mueller has published 22 research articles and 8 book chapters. He has served on the editorial board or provided reviews for several prestigious behavior analysis and psychology journals. So basically the introduction is long, but it was just brief of your accomplishments. Thank you, Dr. Mueller, for joining us. Thank you. Over to you, Doctor.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the introduction. It's always slightly embarrassing to hear people speak nicely about you in public, but I appreciate it. Really the thanks goes to you in this conversation. You personally and behavior supports for special needs. I mean, you've taken it, you personally and some of your colleagues there have taken it upon yourselves to change the ABA culture in Pakistan. This comes from understanding the importance of certifications that ensure behavior analysts and behavior therapists have the proper education, training experiences, supervision, and knowledge. The impact of that is that services will be better. It ensures that parents and other caregivers have the information to make an informed choice about who they want working with their children. It also recognizes, these certifications recognize those who have devoted their time, money, and energy to this very noble pursuit. And all of this, and the reason that we're here, comes from you madam. So you're the one that should be congratulated and held up today. To all of the graduates of the 40-hour training, congratulations. This is an incredibly important step in your lives, in my opinion, for a variety of reasons. And I think kind of, abstractly in a way, I think that the first reason relates to you've been given the knowledge to see the world differently. This 40-hour training has now given you the basic understandings and insight into what predicts and controls behavior. You've been given the basics to understand human behavior and events through a scientific lens. So this knowledge allows you to both understand behavior in a new way, but also act on this behavior through positive supports to increase appropriate skills and decrease inappropriate behavior. And the application of that information is this never-ending pursuit to improve the lives of children. You have the opportunity of increasing life skills and language skills, social skills, academic skills, manners, meals, vocationals, everything else that needs support. It's an incredible gift, really. And next, you've completed an incredibly important step in the certification process. And I think I'll probably answer some questions about this, but the IBT 40-hour training is one of 6 requirements to become an IBT. Importantly, you must register in the IBAO platform to be an IBT candidate. If you haven't already, do this because all the other steps require the registration. So you'll need 300 hours of practice, 10 hours of supervision, 2 skills tests that are conducted by your supervisor, 4 CEUs, and then you pass a 75-item multiple choice exam. But the hardest part of the process is taking the first step to do what you've done, and you've already done that. So the rest is actually quite a short but exciting walk to the finish line here. And then finally, I just want to point out, because it's important, that once you become certified, you become a representative of the field of ABA. And this is important on many levels. Your interactions with the community, how you act, how you behave, your successes and failures, your ethical behavior represents ABA as a profession and casts a light on everybody else in the field. We're all in this together. In areas where ABA as a profession is really at the beginning of its journey, you literally, the people in this call, when you become certified, are the future of ABA, right? So you have the responsibility to create and shape and handle this responsibility with care. There's people out there who don't know what ABA is, and they're going to learn it from you, right? So you have the opportunity now to make the field of ABA in Pakistan something to be proud of. It's a noble, helping, caring profession that does so much good. So use this privilege to create the field that you would be proud of. Once you're in the IBT, you're an ambassador of IBAO, you're an ambassador of the field of ABA and of any organization that you work for. So it's a responsibility and honor bigger than any one individual, because we're shaping the way people see something that they don't understand yet. So having said those 3 things to end, I appreciate it. And Madam Nasir, thank you for moving the field forward. In Pakistan, congratulations to all of you for completing the first step in what will be the first of several steps. And thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come and say a few words to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So I've been receiving many questions from the candidates themselves. One important question was that people here want to study further in this field, especially on the master's level. So is there any of your guidance regarding this, and make it accessible for people in Pakistan, especially the master's level of applied behavior analysis, like a master's in universities or something like affordable programs? Do you have any?
I don't know personally, as we sit here today, whether there are, or I should say, what options for master's level education are available. Something that IBAO has been trying to do is to increase the educational opportunities especially in places where master's degrees don't exist in ABA. It's quite difficult. And we know, I mean, I know this personally from my own experience. I know this from other people that have, started. Some have been successful and some haven't. It's incredibly difficult to go into a university and convince them to add courses to their course catalog, to hire faculty, to create a program where one doesn't exist, because universities are selling classes. And in order for them to do that, they have to have some perception that there's a market, and a big enough market to do all of the things that it takes to create a master's program. And typically what you would do to convince an institution of that size is to kind of show how big the field is in that particular area, to convince them that it is worth their time and expense. But typically the way that you measure the size of a field like ours is to talk about the number of people who are certified. So if there aren't that many people certified, it's very hard to show them with any believable data the size of the opportunity. But it's that reason, and we knew that this was a difficult endeavor to try to get universities to create courses in places where it's hard to show them what the opportunity is. IBAO allows the required educational objectives, essentially the coursework, to come from non-university, non-college educators. So we have international behavior analyst approved content providers that fall outside of universities. Some are university-based and some aren't university-based. So as long as the instructor and the lead for the program can ensure that the other instructors have the appropriate educational requirements of themselves, we're allowing people to get the education outside of the university setting. So that's one. Two, when someone gets a master's degree, it's a huge step. It's a big step in their life. But if you're not able to get a master's degree in applied behavior analysis, although there are benefits, getting a master's degree in education won't be as helpful as getting a master's degree in ABA. ABA coursework and knowledge is very, very specific. If I went to a master's program and it was in finance, I'm not going to learn anything about ABA. If I took a master's degree in sociology, I'm not going to learn anything about ABA. Psychology, education, more often than not, ABA will not even be mentioned, right? These are almost totally separate fields. So we recognize that the important part of the educational process is the ABA specific educational components. And this does not have to come from a master's program. So we have two different routes in IBAO. There's a master's route where if you have a master's degree, that's awesome. And if you can get one, you should, because there are definitely benefits to getting one, even if it's in an unrelated field. There's still a lot to be said for doing that. But if you can't, and if it doesn't exist in your area, that shouldn't prevent you from being a well-educated behavior analyst. And you can do this without a master's degree. So IBAO has the master's route and what we call the experience route. The experience route requires the same amount of ABA education. It's at least 270 hours. But instead of the master's degree, you can do 2 additional supervisor assigned projects. Those could be a literature review, a PowerPoint presentation about a particular topic, a research proposal, some type of literature review, those types of things that requires you to show, that you've participated in something that kind of is deeper and falls outside of the typical coursework. And that's typically the advantage of going to a master's program is you may do some public speaking, you may lead a class, you may have the other assignments and things like that. So we can still create those requirements, even though it falls outside of the university. So I don't know if there are university programs there, just to kind of, put an end to your answer. But if there aren't, that doesn't mean you can't advance yourself in this field, because IBAO has created the conditions for you to be able to do that.
I think
All
that's
right, thank
very
you for
flexible
that
on
answer.
part of IBAO
So I hope,
to introduce the coursework route.
yes, that is very flexible. Yes. Okay, so Doctor, one other question I wanted to ask regarding AFOs. I was, going through your profile, and you're the author of AFOs. It's a very famous assessment tool. So are there any trainings available online on this tool in detail?
I think so. So just historically, I came up with the idea for AFLs in 2010, so quite a while ago now. I'm a co-author. Dr. Partington, who wrote the ABLES, is the other author. And this was published in 2011, 13, and 15, because there's technically 7 books. And we published it ourselves through Stimulus Publications for almost 10 years. And then we turned it into, or we created a version of the assessment online called AFLs Online. That was 2018 and 19. And then in 2019 and 20. And then 2021, we actually sold the AFLs and AFLs Online platform to Central Reach, which is a fantastic, ABA-based software company. Honestly, we felt that they could do so much more with it, given their already large platform than we could, and they are doing better with it. So I believe they have online trainings. I can do trainings myself. I do them both in person and online, depending on the needs of the group. And I would be happy to do something like that for you and your group. So to be honest, I don't know the actual online offering. Central Reach has an entire CEU, continuing education and training library. They have one of the biggest, as far as I know, that exists in the entire field of ABA. So I'm quite sure that they do have trainings. I know I've donated one of mine for them to use, or at least modify in that direction. So it depends on either what you want as an organization or what you're looking for as an individual. If you're looking for individual CUs and kind of more basic, kind of big picture training, my guess is that Central Reach probably has all of that and more. If you want a more kind of personalized approach where it's a live, either in person or online training, I'd be happy to discuss that with you too, if you want that.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We would really appreciate that, actually, because I was searching for a long time. AFOs I really find interesting, especially for the teenagers and adults. Other assessment tools are just for early learners, especially ABLES are and VBMAP. We already know that. So I was really interested for that training. Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's where the entire idea came from. I've seen in my own personal career as a behavior analyst, late elementary, early teenagers, young adults, trying to follow a curriculum that's based on birth to 5, right? Those skills are incredibly important when you're really, really young. Really young, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And then there becomes a point where you need to weigh other options. And we didn't feel at the time like there were any good other options. So that was sort of the genesis of that assessment, was to allow people a broader range skills to choose from when they're creating skill acquisition programs for their kids, and that remains the importance of that today. And I think the field has shifted slightly into the direction of considering those skills at an earlier age, because they're some of the most important. But I think, language and functional skills, in my opinion anyway, are the most important skills that can be taught, because they apply to everybody and they are the most useful and they have the widest range and impact when they're learned.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, now I would like to take a few questions from the students, because they have many in their mind. I'm pretty sure about it. Yes, Mr. Humayun Kamran.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My first question, I have a couple of questions. The first one is, doctor, you have plenty of experience and are in contact with behavior therapists and behavior analysts around the globe. So my question is, which regions professionals you found the best, or you grade them high, and what's the reason for that?
Well, that's an interesting question. I've had a lot of experience of training internationally and consulting internationally, both through our behavioral consultation company that we have, and through opportunities to train people on APFL. So I've had the opportunity to see different ABA organizations, both for early intervention and life skills training. I really would be able to tell you that there isn't a particular area that has like the best ABA. Even here in the US, in a school, for children with special needs, you might walk into one classroom and it's awesome. And then you go across the hall and you want to change everything that you see. And it really is dependent on the individual teacher, the individual behavior analyst and behavior therapists. I've seen behavior analysis organizations that, 5 out of 5 stars. They're doing everything right, and they continue to do everything totally by the book, and it's extremely helpful. And I've gone into other ones that frankly the door should be closed and they should all find other things to do, because it's just, it's not the way things should be done. So I haven't seen an area geographically, regionally, nationally that stands out. The only difference that I would say is that for different reasons, some areas have maybe better ABA infrastructure. It's a term that's used really to describe the organization of behavior analysts and therapists in an area. And so I think that creates a couple different perceptions, both in my mind and in the community there. So if there is, for instance, an organization like, for instance, a Pakistan Association for Behavior Analysis, and all of the behavior analysts and behavior therapists are members of that, and that membership and that organization can speak on behalf of the field, it has a really important impact on where parents and caregivers and teachers go for the correct source of information, because there's a unified voice. And it also builds up it builds up the perception of the strength of the field. And some countries have a very well-developed infrastructure and some don't. So there's a perception maybe that a country might be sort of more advanced and therefore better. The more advanced part from an infrastructure perspective is probably accurate. The fact that they have that does not make them necessarily better practitioners or scientists. It just means their organizations are more well-formed, they're more well-established, and there's an advantage to that. But I don't know that makes those areas have better practices per se. And it's something that we started and we need to continue to work towards in Pakistan, because I think that's something that's important, but also kind of missing there is this unified voice, a unified organization, because nobody knows the field in Pakistan better than you in Pakistan. So if you have your own organization, you have your own association, you can do an annual conference, you can make decisions, you can be a voice, you can have opinions that represent, you nationally specifically. And that's an important step. So I've participated in that, and IBAO is supportive of that. And I think we need to continue to work towards that, because I think once you have it and it's the wheels kind of start rolling in that direction, it's a big benefit to everybody there.
Okay, one more thing. In countries like Pakistan, where check and balance, or you can say procedures regarding professional practices, are not that formulated or implemented as well, like what is being practiced in regions like yours, how you see behavior therapists and behavior analysts working professionally here, and how your board can counter check or cross check the working of those professionals. I mean, how you are planning to ensure quality work as professionals are increasing with the passage of time.
That's a great question. And there's really two different answers. So the first answer is that IBAO is a certification organization, which, that's obvious, because you're you're pursuing the certification, so you know that part. But I'm saying it that way because certifications and certification organizations are different than licensing bodies and licensing organizations. So a certification shows that you have met what the field considers to be the minimum education, training, experience, and knowledge standards. And you've agreed to practice ethically, and you've agreed to have continuing and ongoing education to stay current in the field. That's what the certification means. So within that context, there are certain things that we can do as an organization, and there's certain things that fall outside of our abilities and purview. The things that we can do to control quality in some respects is just to ensure that the requirements meet what the field considers an appropriate introductory standard. That's what a certificate is. But after that, we don't necessarily have the ability as quality control. BACB does not ensure quality. I've met behavior analysts that are awesome. I've met behavior analysts that I would not want babysitting my own children, to be totally honest with you. There's a quality comes from an individual's motivation to become better on their own. I read journal articles regularly. I stay, abreast of the changes in the field, both procedurally and with attitudes and everything else. That's an expectation, right? That comes from continuing education. But if someone applies this trade differently and not as well as somebody else, that is beyond IBAO's ability to say you are a good behavior analyst and you are a bad behavior analyst. Our role in this field is to say you've met the minimum requirements to become a behavior analyst, or you've met the minimum requirements to become a behavior therapist. Behavior therapists, IBTs, will grow and learn and increase their quality through the behavior analysts that are supervising them. Both of these certifications, really any certification, is kind of a stamp of approval that you've met the minimum standard. Not that you're done learning, not that you know everything. You know enough to begin in this field. And so getting that is not, it's getting you to the beginning of the place where you can continue to learn and grow and increase your quality. It's a never-ending process, right? IBAO can ensure that that's happening to some degree, by requiring continuing education units, but the field really sort of regulates itself. It's up to the behavior analyst to ensure appropriate practice from the behavior therapist that they're supervising. And as long as they're taking that seriously and they're practicing ethically and they're up to date on the requirements and understand these things, then the field will move in a proper direction. Separately from that is licensure. Licensure, which is different than a certification. Licensure is something that says you can practice in this field and you can't practice in this field, right? The benefit of certification is that the more people that are certified, the less misinformation and poor services that will be out there. Right now, a parent who wants services for someone with autism, the IBA and the IBT, those aren't requirements in Pakistan, right? They're benefits, but it's not a requirement. That means anybody can do it, trained or untrained, because there is no standard that's regulated by the government. Anyone can do it. You could be a plumber and have someone at your house to run discrete trials. There's no limit. So people may be getting misinformation and people may be misunderstanding what it is we do. The more people that are certified, the easier it is for the community to see who falls inside of our bubble and who falls outside of our bubble. But it's not regulation, right? Over time, it has a similar effect, but we are not regulating the field like the way a licensing body can say you can practice medicine, you can't practice medicine. If you do a surgery and you're not a licensed physician, you can go to jail. If you do an FBA and you don't have an IBA, you're not going to go to jail. You're just going to hurt the impact of the field. So there's not like certifications and licensure are two different things, but I don't think any country, well, there's one exception. I think the Czech Republic has a national licensure. Other than that, the US has some, but it's only about half of the 50 states. So it takes a long time to get there. In the way that both countries, both examples of licensure in our field has been to establish certifications as the clinical and knowledge base, and then use that as a stepping stone to national licensure. So again, to kind of put an end to your question, we have some degree of role in quality assurance in making sure that the requirements develop entry-level practitioners in the best way that we can. But after you have the certifications, IBAO doesn't really have a role in ensuring that quality increases for any individual, because that's a separate, it's really a separate action that falls outside of a certification body.
Exactly. What I was thinking that maybe there is a complaint portal or something like a feedback portal on your website where people can, give feedback about someone or complain about someone. Is there something like that?
We can be contacted. We have an ethics committee in our professional advisory board. They would be able to handle complaints. But that being said, and this is not just IBAO, this is BCBA-D, this is any certification body. The most severe sanction we could do is say, you're going to lose your certification. That doesn't mean you can't continue to do all of the things you're doing. It just means you can lose your certification. Right? We can't stop someone from doing anything. We can react in some ways to what it is they're doing. And some things are both difficult to prove, right?
Right.
So if we got a complaint, we would probably want more information. If it's someone's word, possibly against someone else's word, it's just it's very difficult. I will say this: we haven't had any ethical complaints as of yet. So I think that's a good thing. I'm sure we will, and we will. We have a basic system to deal with them, and we continue to update our policies and roles and process. But we haven't had any ethical complaints that have been well, any at all. But we haven't had any that would rise to us considering what to do in terms of a punishment or some kind of sanction or anything like that. We do try to foster a sense of flexibility. That doesn't mean that we overlook those things, but ethics are not black and white. So if you look at and you should, when you look at our ethical guidelines and problem-solving model, these are aspirational goals. These are the things that you should be trying to achieve in your professional life. But any instance needs to be weighed in the context of the situation that you're in, so you as an individual can make a choice that feels right based on what you know about ethics and ABA and the situation you're in. And that decision for me does not have to be the same exact decision for you. But that's why we have this problem-solving model. So if you find yourself conflicted about what to do, you have some guidance in how to do it. And again, how the decision that one person makes in the exact same situation is not right or wrong. It's acceptable if they followed the process. And if that's different than someone else and how they've resolved the process, it doesn't mean that there's a universal right and wrong. It means that you follow the process, and for different reasons, you can reach different appropriate decisions. So it's not black and white. So if you say, someone did X, Y, and Z, I would have done A, B, and C. There's a possibility that was unethical, and there's a possibility that they followed the same ethical decision-making strategies that you did, and simply because of the difference in context and situation, reached a different conclusion about the best outcome. So it's, unless it's something really, really egregious, it is kind of a dynamic, flexible system to give people some individual decision-making on the best way out.
Yes, doctor, that is a very, useful resource. We studied it, your ethics code. It is fantastic. Fantastic guide. Everyone should follow it. Okay,
Yes,
anyone has any other question?
yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Sir, I want one question. I know I feel it. This field is very depend on sincerity base and love and attachment base. But if I get, inshallah ta'ala, RBT certification successfully, so we will get a job in America or US, because inshallah I will come soon in America. So it will be help me for a job.
Well, you can get RBT too. If you want RBT, we can provide you, but doctor will be able to guide you. Yes, Dr. Mueller.
Well, I can't speak on behalf of BACB. So in the US, well, let me say this again. It depends on a couple different things. Some states, about half of the 50 US states, have licensure laws. Those licensure laws specify which certifications are required to practice there. The BACB is the one that is represented in all of these different states. So most of the licensure laws say to be a licensed behavior analyst, you have to be a BCBA, right? Because these licensure laws were written really for their own state, their own US market, which is clearly dominated by the BACB. So we haven't been around long enough to do anything to change that. And that's not a priority for our organization. If these certifications Well, I'll put it differently. In order of importance, IBAO is concerned with the market outside of the US, right? What we're doing right here, this is why we exist. If at some point, and we're going through the accreditation process, when the certifications become accredited, that could impact US states picking up our certifications to include in those that are useful for licensure. So it depends. Some states don't have licensure, right? So that applies to the licensure states. If you go into a state that doesn't have licensure, again, there are no specific requirements in terms of government regulation, but then it becomes a decision that's made by the ABA organization that you might work for. That could be influenced by the US insurance companies that are operating in that state. So the insurance companies also have some decisions or some requirements about what level of certification is required to bill the insurance companies. So there's kind of the theoretical outside of licensure states. There is not a particular certification that's required to practice, but to get hired by a company that bills a particular insurance company, they will want whatever certification is required by that insurance company. So I'm not trying to be vague in saying it depends, but it depends on what state, it depends on what company, it depends on the different billing resources. So for instance, if you were going to get a job in a public school, insurance company doesn't matter and licensure laws don't matter. So you can have RBT, IBT, it doesn't really matter because those things are not impacted because public schools fall outside of the consideration of both of those things. You can provide, just as an example, you can provide behavior analytics services in public schools, even in states that require licensure when you're not licensed. Public schools in the US just have a separate universe that they operate in. So the short answer is maybe, but in the US, the BCBAs and RBTs are the strongest certifications that lead to the most widely available acceptance right now. And again, maybe in the future we'll change part of that, but our goal really falls outside of the US.
Yeah, I have seen many job opportunities, especially in the Middle East of IBTs. What I have seen, there are many, especially in Middle East. Okay, does anyone else have any question? I think Ms. Sarah Khan had a few very good ones related to psychology. Yeah.
Greetings, sir.
Hi.
Okay, so I've got one question, and it's about the reward system that we have in ABA. I totally agree with the concept, but I have few confusions regarding it. As I was thinking that the rewarding system, may have an impact in the long run related to altruism. So if you can just clarify this.
Well, the children gets, get addicted to the reinforcement sort of like thing, that thing which he was asking.
Okay, yeah, that's a really big question on different levels. So I'll try to answer it in the couple ways that kind of jumped into my mind initially. There is always a fear, and there should be, it's well warranted, that if you use very powerful food reinforcers, it's hard, not impossible, but more difficult sometimes to fade away from those. There's also, but to balance that, right, that's on the side of like, it's working, but now how do we control it? The other side of that is you have to find something that works. the entire field of behavior analysis and ABA is based on the notion of positive reinforcement. There's other, there's other dynamics at play, but positive reinforcement is sort of our guiding concept in our field. We can't do what we do without reinforcement. That doesn't mean giving M&Ms, right? But that means following the behavior with something that will increase it in the future. So if you have, for instance, a very young learner who's very resistant to learning something, you have to find something to follow those behaviors that will get them to do it again and again and again in the future. Now, as soon as you find those things, you should start trying to find ways to fade them out. So it's always this balance of finding something that works, something powerful, and then getting rid of it as soon as you can, right? It's identify it and then kind of fade it out. For some kids, that fading process is almost impossible for a really long time. And you have situations where it feels like you're giving too much. So from that perspective, I understand where the concern comes from. So you have some control of that when you're choosing reinforcers. If there are certain things, like for instance, if you're working with an adult, you're not going to reinforce their behavior by giving them cigarettes. People used to do that because it was like, well, it doesn't matter. That's what they like. It does matter because we're part of the environment that we're changing, right? And if we're trying to increase appropriate behavior by giving them something bad to do, we're not really doing our part as well as we could. So if there's a concern of unhealthy snacks and sugary treats and things like this, don't make them available unless you absolutely have to. So if you're doing a preference assessment, start with things that are healthier. Start with, either activity items or, access to activities and those types of things that don't have that kind of negative long-term impact if they can't be faded. But there's no way around reinforcement in our field. It is based on that. It is the concept that is inherent in more or less everything we do. But if you can use your enthusiasm, you can use your own praise, you can use, physical touch and joking and laughing and tickles and these kind of things, instead of giving something food-wise, then do that. Because that's a reinforcer that's easily generalizable to other people and other situations and other settings and all these types of things. So if you can use something that's easier and more widely available, you should be doing that. But the notion of, is there another way to increase behaviors beyond the reinforcement concept, that would be difficult to get around. So we do have some say, right? I mean, the children, if it's children that we're talking about, they're not reinforcing their own behavior, right? If we're doing something, that we have an impact, we have a role in it, and we can make decisions that are healthier and smarter long-term and easier to fade out and more widely generalizable. So, you just have to be cautious, I think, if there's something. And the difficult part is, and these are fairly rare exceptions, but the difficult part is when the only thing that will reinforce a behavior is something that you don't want to give. How do you make that decision? And the decision sometimes is, let's use it temporarily just to get a little momentum that we can change into something else. Let's just kind of start with that. But the responsibility is on the behavior analyst and behavior therapist to recognize that if you're going to do that, you really do need to do it very temporarily, maybe until the child learns the situation and starts learning the expectations, and then you can kind of roll into something else. Or you can use tokens, right? So instead of delivering on a continuous schedule for every correct, you can earn tokens, and then at the end of 5 or 10 or 20 or whatever, then you can get 1. So now you're getting 1 instead of 20. And there's a lot of different ways to do teaching and instructional arrangements that can minimize access to those things, but there's really no way in the field to get around the reinforcement concept.
Yes, doctor, and there are many misconceptions for for ABA in people's mind. Sarah, do you have your answer?
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next, who wants to? I think many questions are there. Okay, Miss Maham Khan, do you want to ask something?
Hello, sir. This is Veeni Maham Khan. I'm a neurochemist and an IBT. And beside that, I really have an interest in this ABA field. As ma'am has already discussed about the master's degree in programs, and you had answered really well. But still, then beside all this, I want to ask a few things more. Like, is there more coursework and certification IBAO is going to offer in future to excel in this field of knowledge?
So
More certification. Yes, please.
yeah, it was a little bit hard to hear. Are you asking if?
Okay. Let me repeat it. Beside that, ma'am, have already discussed about that degree program, master's degree program, and you had answered it. Beside that, I want to ask that is there more course of work and certification IBA is likely to offer in future to excel in this sea of knowledge?
Like doctoral level or something?
I'm sorry.
Doctoral level, I think she wants to ask. Doctoral level.
So I'm going to answer that, and I hope I'm answering it the right way. So the BACB has the RBT, the BCABA, the BCBA, and the BCBA-D. Are you asking if IBAO will have a doctoral level certification at some point?
No, not in doctorate level, like more coursework, more certification to excel in this field, to make your skills more and more efficient in this field. So the board is going to offer it later on. Hopefully can we expect that?
Okay,
There is
I think
yes.
I understand.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, certifications, whether it's ours or anybody else's, again, this is a demonstration that someone has met really the entry level, what the field considers the minimum requirements to practice. IBAO for IBT and IBA, to renew the certification every 2 years, you have to demonstrate that you have attended ongoing training over that period of time. So for the IBA, when you get your certification, and then 2 years later, when you renew, you have to have 24 hours of continuing education in general ABA topics, in topics of supervision, in topics of ethics, and topics of cultural issues. For an IBT, from when they're certified to 2 years later, they have to have 8 hours of continuing education. 4 in general ABA topics, 2 in ethics, and 2 in cultural issues. So IBAO does not require, so for instance, another 40-hour training. It's up to the individual who's certified to find and attend and demonstrate that they have completed ongoing training. So the certifications do expect and require ongoing instruction. We don't provide it. We just ensure that you've attended or completed it as a requirement. So for instance, if you wanted to have 4 hours in pediatric feeding and how ABA can help feeding disorders, that's up to you. If someone else wanted to have practice issues with an older population, gerontology population, or early intervention, or in an OBM setting or vocational. So it's up to the individual to get training on the things that are interesting to them and that help their own practice. We set the standards for how much of that you have to have, but specifically the training that you get is up to you.
Okay. Shaheen, would you like to ask another question?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Please go ahead.
There's a general question from me.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Hello, Dr. Mueller. Actually, I have a general question about ASD. I've heard that people diagnosed with ASD, like so many professions are saying that this condition ASD will be with them for all their life. It will be milder, but it will never go away. What do you think about this perception?
I think it's fair. The reason I'm sort of waffling without being definitive is that, autism spectrum disorder is spectrum because it can mean so many different things. And it's also a condition that's diagnosed based on behavior, right? There's no blood test, there's no mouth swab, there's no medical test that says this person has it, this person doesn't. There are essentially, if you look at the diagnostic categories, the diagnostic criteria, these are all behavioral, right? There's some behavioral excesses and there's some behavioral deficits. And so someone may argue that if you change those behaviors, you have kind of taken them out of the diagnosis and they have kind of quote unquote recovered. And there's papers on this topic and there's literature on this topic. It's a very small percent. Some people have lost their diagnosis, but those that have lost their diagnosis typically get other diagnoses. So whatever the neurological condition or organic condition that existed that presented itself in these behaviors that led to a diagnosis of autism, the behaviors may have changed, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the neurological condition or organic condition that existed has gone away. That means you've perhaps corrected or changed behaviors in a way that they're not extreme enough or not interfering enough to receive the same diagnosis. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the person is without the need for support entirely. So it's a difficult question to answer because, well, one, there's really strong opinions about it and nobody is totally right and nobody is totally wrong. From my own personal experience, and I don't want to be controversial when I say this, but it seems like over the last few years, and I've been in this field working with the population of learners with autism for 25 years, it seems like we come across more and more learners who are really, really, really mildly affected. And sometimes you kind of question why they have that particular diagnosis in the first place. So if it is truly autism, and it's incredibly mild, meaning it doesn't interfere, like their language and social and behavioral things that have kind of got them that diagnosis in the first place are so mild to be almost, indecipherable from a neurotypical learner of the same age, it might be possible for that person to lose that diagnosis. there's such a wide variety of the different kind of presentation types and the different categories. It almost sometimes feels like two different diagnoses. I mean, there's definitely severe autism, and then there's this other end that sometimes you see it, and maybe this hasn't reached that area yet, but here in the US, there's some folks that can just walk up to you and say, yeah, I have autism, and they have a typical job and they live by themselves and they have friends and they do everything that you would expect anybody else to do. And so you kind of question why they have that particular label. So it's not a black and white answer. And especially if you look historically, the diagnostic criteria for what autism has changed over 40 years. And so someone that received the diagnosis 10 years ago, or someone that receives it now, maybe they didn't get it 10 years. So there's all kinds of issues. But like, if you want my personal opinion, those who really have autism don't grow out of it. We can adapt and we can help and we can support their skills so that they can make up whatever gap separates them from someone who doesn't. But I don't think there's an organic or neurological change that shifts them back from not having it. But again, you got to kind of qualify that with the fact that these are behaviorally defined disorders. So without those behaviors, then you could say no. So it's a very gray area. I would tend to say no, but I wouldn't get into too hot of a debate with somebody who really strongly believes the other way either.
Okay, doctor, there is an important question in the chat box. People are having trouble with the registration process for the IBT. I think the credit card is the only option. And if there is any other, then please tell us. And secondly, there is a coupon option there showing. So what can we do about it?
Currently, yes. Currently, the only way to pay for the registration is through credit card. I mean, credit card, debit card, any kind of card. Only because there's no other kind of universal system that's available. I'm not aware of any discount code. I'm not sure of that. So what is that question specifically?
I think someone was saying that they found a coupon or something. I'm not aware of that either. But
I think if you go to the registration page, like you would see with any online purchase process, if you will, is that I think there's like a default option for discount code, coupon code, so that if we did a coupon or something in the future, we can make it available. That's where you would put it in. But to my knowledge right now, I don't know that there are any that exist right now.
Okay, so Wajia, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question on behalf of parents, and many parents have been asking me this question. So I thought Dr. Mueller is the best person to answer it. So, sir, who is in a position to diagnose for autism? Can you please specify the professionals who are in a position of giving a diagnosis for autism?
That's probably a legal question. I'll render an opinion, but I don't know the specific laws in Pakistan. So if this falls outside of that, please just, weigh that. I can describe how it works in the US. I can describe my own personal opinions about it, but I don't know specifically, right, what the situation is there. So this could vary. In the US, anybody with a medical degree, I believe, so this would be psychiatrists mostly, licensed psychologists, which is again, defined by the state licensing boards, neurologists, pediatricians, right? So medical doctors or licensed medical or psychological professionals. There are some states in the US where master's level psychologists or master's level school psychologists, and because I'm saying it like that, in some states, these are slightly different things. They have the ability to. And then separate from that, which is a little beyond the actual question that you're asking, in the US, there's really robust federal laws giving learners and their parents special needs all sorts of rights. And some of those rights are to have a free, appropriate public education in a public school. So you don't have to pay extra to have what's supposed to be appropriate services in a public school. If you qualify for special education services, you qualify into different categories. One might be intellectual disabilities, one might be autism, one might be learning disabilities, emotional behavioral disorders, etc. School psychologists and IEP teams can make decisions about what category of special education someone might qualify for, and one of those is autism, but that's different than a diagnosis itself. So you can have someone who's not in the US, you can have someone who's not diagnosed with autism qualify for autism related special education services. But in terms of the actual diagnosis, it's going to be a licensed medical professional, which is typically pediatrician, psychiatrist, or licensed mental health care worker, which could be a licensed psychologist or school psychologist.
Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, doctor. And I hope that we have not taken a lot of your time. It's been
Thank you so much,
more than an hour, and we appreciate a lot how much you have given us this valuable information and this opportunity to certify individuals. So if anyone else doesn't have more questions, then we should proceed now.
Yes, ma'am, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Mueller, hello. I have a question about that. How many chance we have to clear the IBT exam?
Yeah, that's a good question. How many times you can give the IBT exam if you fail?
Well, right now, there's not a limit. There will be a limit at some point in time, but right now there's not a limit. So if you take it and you don't pass, there's a 30-day sort of blackout period that gives you a chance to study, look at so you're provided with a coaching report that shows the different areas and how you performed in those different areas. So that allows you to kind of focus your studying a little bit. So it's a fair question. I hate to hear the question because I want to hear like confidence. Like you're only going to need one time. You've had excellent training. You're going to get great supervision. You're going to get great experiences, and you're going to nail it. And you're going to get certified in the first go. That's what I hope. But in case that doesn't go exactly as planned, right now there is no limit. That's going to change. But we're trying to be as cost efficient for everybody as possible. That being said, the exams themselves cost money. So every time you take it, we're essentially paying for it. So there probably is a limit to, someone who takes it repeatedly, or if we continue to allow unlimited, maybe the amount of time between those examination retakes might extend. So if 1 month wasn't enough, maybe it's 2, I don't know. But we will have some policy around it. Otherwise, it's unlimited for everybody in the world is a lot, but I don't think you're going to need that. I don't think you're going to need that. I have confidence in you. The exam itself is fair. It's a fair test of knowledge.
There is one related question. Are there any sample papers available for the IBT? Sample papers.
In terms of like a preparation guide for the exam, a study guide?
Yes, because I know for RBT there are many. So is the IBT exam very similar?
It is very similar, actually. It's 75 questions. Each question is 4-choice, multiple choice. It's an online exam. So you can do this at your leisure in a place that's comfortable for you. There are technical requirements, but you just have to have a solid internet connection. Some of the exam items are kind of situationally based, so it might describe a little situation and then ask something about it. Some of the other ones are kind of just straight definitions. Some are a little bit in between, but it's a fair test of skills for what it is you've learned. The exact answer to your question, to my knowledge, I don't know anybody. Well, that's not true. I think there's a Spanish group that has IBA and IBT specific study prep. But I think it's in Spanish. So if anybody speaks Spanish, that would be a resource. Outside of that, so if you were going to use an RBT exam prep material package, I would say that's probably a good idea. The only 2 areas that I would say don't overlap extremely well is the RBT and the BACB ethics are very, very different. So, that's one consideration. And the IBT, as you've known from your coursework, requires some understanding of the characteristics of autism and ADHD and Down syndrome, intellectual disabilities, the more commonly supported populations. Other than that, those are, if you keep in mind those 2 differences, I think the RBT study prep would be helpful in terms of core knowledge, basic principles, teaching methodologies, those types of things.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I think that should be enough for everyone regarding questions. You briefed a lot about everything and every confusion. So I would just, if with your permission, I would just start the certificates distribution process. May I?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you so much. So everyone get ready, and to receive your certificates, I would just show them right now, and then they will be uploaded in your respective folders. Okay, so we have, first of all, Amal Mushtaba, congratulations for completing the 40-hour training. Amal, are you there? Okay. Congratulations, Amal, if even you're not there. Then comes Aksa Umar. Aksa Umar, here is your certificate. Congratulations. Are you there right now? No. Okay, next is Asma Khalid. Asma Khalid, congratulations on completing your training.
Thank you so much, ma'am. All credit goes to you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay, so next is Aisha Batul. Aisha, congratulations on completing your training.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you. Okay, next is Aisha Yaqub. Congratulations. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining these lectures. Next is Dure Nayab Gauri. Congratulations for Dure Nayab.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the training.
It was such an amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next comes Farkhanda Shaheen. Farkhanda, congratulations. You have been very active during the training as well. Next comes Fatma Sajjad. Fatma Sajjad, congratulations. This is your certificate. Next comes Hania Haki. Hania Haki, congratulations. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed your classes.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my name spelling is incorrect on the certificate.
Oh, okay. I will recheck it. Oh, it's double Q.
Yes,
Sorry.
and there's
Yeah.
Y also in Hanya.
Okay, I will get it fixed for you. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Next comes Hina Qureshi. Hina, congratulations. You've been very active on the group. And,
Thank you so much, ma'am. I am really exciting because this is my first step of success become inshallah ta'ala. Thanks for IBT. Thanks for ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Best of luck for future.
Thank you.
Next is Mahnur. Mahnur, congratulations. Please receive your certificate.
Thank you, ma'am.
This is virtual, so it will be
Yes,
sent
ma'am.
to
Thank
you. Okay. Next comes Mahrukh Bhatt. Mahrukh, congratulations, Dr. Mahrukh Bhatt. This is your certificate. Many of them are not present right now, what I have seen. Next comes Naila Maroof. Naila, congratulations for completing your 40-hour training. I think you're there. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you enjoy the training?
Yes, ma'am, a lot.
Thank you. Okay, next comes Saima Kazmi. I think she's not here as well.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you're
Thank you so
here.
much. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, did you enjoy the classes?
Yes, I really enjoyed a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. Okay, next is Saman Iqbal. Saman, congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And next is Samina Osmani. Samina, your questions were incredible during the training. Please
Thank you
your
so much.
certificate.
A fruitful period. We learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, so next is Sarah. Sarah, are you there? Only Sarah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the training. I learned a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this training. Next is Sarah Khan. Sarah Khan, congratulations on completing your training and you've done great work. You want to say something right now, Sarah?
I'm just thankful for this amazing opportunity and I hope to implement it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, next comes Sayyida Ariba Naqvi. Sayyida Ariba Naqvi, congratulations on completing this 40-hour training program. I think you're not there. Next comes Tayyaba Ziaur Rahman. Tayyaba, are you there? No. Okay, so this is your certificate. It will be uploaded in your folder. Ashna Yalnaz. Ashna Yalnaz is here. Congratulations, Ashna.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I would like to inform you that there is a mistake in my name. I need to put H in the last in Ushna.
Okay, I've noted it and I will correct it.
Thank you.
Thank you for reminding. Then comes Usma Shapkat. Usma, congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being an ever active participant. Thank you so much. Next comes Wajiha Kawal. Wajiha, congratulations on completing your training. I think Wajiha is here. Wajiha Kawal. No? Okay. Next comes Zehra Imran. Zehra Imran, congratulations on completing your training.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
It will be sent to you in your folder. Okay, and we have also some special certificates for top achievers. First one is Mr. Humayun Kamran. Congratulations. And this is for most active participation during IBT training program. Congratulations.
He is awesome. I think he should sit for the exam.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
मैम अगर हमें पहले पता होता तो हम ज्यादा कोशिश करते कि स्पेशल सर्टिफिकेट हमें भी शायद मिल जाता.
It was for basically most active participation, and he was like very consistent throughout those trainings. He was always present and always answering questions. So this you deserve. Very good. Thank you.
Yes, he is deserved really.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and next is our top achiever from IBT candidate, Sarah Khan. Sarah Khan, congratulations.
Amazing.
This is the best cumulative performance during IBT training program. You did all the quizzes correctly. You scored 100%, and your assignments were submitted in time. Congratulations. All of your assignments were submitted.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Good job. You want to say something right now, Sarah?
I'm too overwhelmed right now.
Okay, well, congratulations and keep it up. And I would say that best of luck to everyone for their future. And we have special certificate for our moderators as well, Miss Wajiha Mujib. Wajiha, congratulations, and thank you so much for your professional help as moderator during IBT training program.
Thank you so much, Alia. I'm honored. I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you. You deserve a lot more.
I would like to say that Alia is my supervisor. I'm working under her supervision and she is amazing. I have learned a lot from her. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words. Thank you. Thank you, Wajia. And next is Ms. Maham Khan. Maham Khan, congratulations for your professional help as moderator during IBT training program. Maham.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. I would like to say special thanks to you, ma'am. You are always being an inspiration, and I'm so glad to have this. It's been great throughout the journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you have been an inspiration for me. You all of you've been an inspiration for me.
My pleasure.
Thank you for being there and joining these classes and being a great class. Congratulations, everyone. I'm so proud of everyone.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And hope that everyone passes the IBT exam. So the next process, you all know that you have to start the supervision as soon as possible. And what I am aiming is to complete everything in 3 months, inshallah. It can take 1 month more, not more than that. Please start your supervision, and so that we just wind up sooner than later. And all the best to everyone for your future. And yes, Dr. Mueller, what would you
I
like?
just want to say one thing. First, again, congratulations, everybody. That's a really important step, a very, very important step. Next, when you register, that certificate that you just received, that's what you will upload into the required educational objectives portion of your dashboard. So when you see that, that's the expectation, is that certificate. So then we can validate that and approve it. And then secondly, in your dashboard, you will see a button that says request supervisor, right? That's when you'll put your supervisor's name and address, name and email address. So email them, they will accept it. You'll both sign the online supervision agreement, and then you will be attached as supervisor and candidate in the platform. So those are just a couple next kind of practical steps.
All right. Okay. So I'm trying to find, can anyone take a class picture right now? Like a print screen option is there.
Stop the screen sharing so I can take a picture.
Yes, this is what I was trying to figure it.
This is honor for
Can
me.
we have the cameras on, please?
Yeah, please, if everyone can, just for a moment.
This is the honor for me. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, I have everyone almost. Yeah. Thank you. Smile.
Thank you.
One more.
Okay. There are so many.
So much.
Yeah. Okay. I need, like another picture. I'm just trying to capture everyone, but okay. So this one. Okay. Thank you so much. Got it. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. We really appreciate this class, and I was honored to be your instructor and for your support, which you have shown today and throughout the classes. And thank you, Dr. Mueller, again, for giving us your precious time and answering everything like with very so much detail and patience. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Mueller. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for the
Thank you, sir.
opportunity. I appreciate it. If people have questions, they can email IBAO. We'll get back to it very quickly.
Yes, and
Thank you,
we are very
sir. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I always remember this meeting. I love it, and I really enjoyed. I'm really thankful for God कि आप लोग इतने अच्छे लोग आप लोग हमारे साथ हैं और इंशाल्लाह बहुत कुछ सीखेंगे. Thank you so much.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much. Looking forward.
Thank you so much.
Okay, take care, everyone. Now we are going to
Bye-bye.
end the meeting. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Allah Hafiz. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Allah Hafiz, ma'am.